Mr. Chairman, 2 points initially. First, I want to thank you for calling this important hearing and assembling this very impressive group of witnesses. Following on that, I want to emphasize something Senator Sheehy said. You know more than we do, and don't let your contributions to our work end today. In other words, keep in touch, and as thoughts come out based on the hearing, let us know and give suggestions where we can help with authorities, with programs in the VA, with coordination efforts, all of those things. You are a tremendous resource, and I want to thank you. And Ms. Hermes, I also want to hope that you will convey my thanks to Yale, because Yale is the reason for everything I've achieved in my life. The reason for that is that when they rejected me at the law school, I dedicated my life to making them regret the decision. And it served me very well. Really what we're talking about is transition. I believe that the Department of Defense and the VA combined should spend as much time, money, and effort on transition as they do on recruiting. And I think there's a lot of activity, and I think it's improved recently, but it really still is not where it wants to be. There are 2 or 3 issues that I've been involved with, and I'd like your quick thoughts. One is pre-enrolling in VA healthcare before you leave active duty. You're nodding. Is that a good idea?
Yes, Senator, absolutely.
So that there's not that gap of where do I go and how do I move. Secondly, Form 2648 has a box on it that says if you opt in, if you want to have your contact information shared with the state veterans agency, we'd like to change that to an opt-out, because people often just don't check boxes, and reverse the presumption so that people, unless they object to it, they can have their contact. My idea is if you get a state veterans organization, that state veterans structure that's in connection with VSOs, I would like somebody to meet the new veteran when they're coming to the airport. And that won't happen unless you have reverse this presumption. Is that something, Mr. Lyons, for example, that you think is a good idea?
You could envision the honor flights that we bring to D.C. to see the nation's monuments to take that same concept to a newly returning veteran, to a community. All politics is local, all transition is local. To the extent that we could meet them at the airport, that would be phenomenal, sir. Yes, sir.
But we can't do it unless we know that they're coming, and the only way to know that is if their contact information is conveyed. So you would support that change?
We would support that change, the opt-out.
Finally, TAP promotion, that is having VSOs involved in the TAP process before the active duty member leaves. That strikes me as just common sense. Is that, you're nodding, I hope that doesn't go in the record. This guy can't record nods, so can I get a...
Yes, Senator, we agree. Having VSOs involved would be a great idea.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Hutchings, I'm fascinated by your website. And in fact, coming into this hearing, not being fully aware of what Combined Arms did, my suggestion was that the VA should create such a website, but it sounds like you've pretty well done it. The question is, how do we make veterans aware of this really rich resource that you've created? And again, maybe it should be on a form somewhere. Check here if you want to hear from a website provider that can give you access to literally 40,000 resources across the country. How can we help get this resource that you've created into more veterans' hands?
Thank you for your question, Senator. And to your earlier point, I will keep in touch. 3 very commonsensical recommendations you made that I think we all agree with. So that is, a question that we're constantly struggling and iterating with as an organization. I think all of the respective organizations here as well is how can we make people more aware of our partnerships, our collaborations, our collectives, like the one that was just announced here recently. And I think it's continued discussion and continued integration in the form of pilots with federal agencies, with state agencies,
But one thing that might help is if as a veterans walking out the door, they're handed a card with the website.
Yep.
Or with a series of websites saying, different, if you're planning to go to school, here's student veterans, and we've just got to, it's a matter of making connections. And again, I'm trying to think of how this can be done through the official process where everybody is passing through, rather than people who hear it by word of mouth. So make some
Senator, if I
suggestions on
could,
that.
you
Please.
said it at the beginning of your remarks. If the DoD and the VA were working together to spend as much on transition as we do on recruitment, it's bringing the Department of Defense to the table as well to hold an equal part and an accountable part to that transition.
Yeah, and we're spending most of the time here talking about the VA, but the Department of Defense is a big, big part of this. That's where it starts. So, again, share your ideas, but I think this is a very important hearing. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Senator King. Senator Slotkin.